Welcome back to Outnumbered. So according to a new study, Gen Z is plagued by lingering fears that AI will take over the business world. And now they're looking to move from white-collar careers.
Hello and welcome back to today. No update as always. I got the latest headlines and key development that matter not love. Just facts, let's dive right into it.
Welcome back to Outnumbered. So according to a new study, Gen Z is plagued by lingering fears that AI will take over the business world. And now they're looking to move from white-collar careers to blue-collar careers for job security. According to the study, 42% of the younger generation are working on securing a skilled trade job, like plumbing, welding, or electrical work. The chief career officer of Resume Builder says Gen Z is ditching white-collar careers for good reason, saying, quote, trade jobs offer hands-on work that is difficult to automate. Additionally, many grads find their degrees don't lead to careers in their field, prompting them to explore more practical, in-demand alternatives. Kaylee, I'm going to start with you as a resident Gen Zer. In your opinion, why do you think Gen Z is turning to trade jobs?
I think it's been an actually pretty recent shift because I think I went to college myself. My husband also went to college and graduate school, but he actually did pursue a career in construction afterwards. So he is not usually using those degrees. But ironically, he finds his work now way more fulfilling than if he would have pursued a white-collar job. And I think the recent shift is because a lot of Gen Zers realized that, you know, the narrative that we had been sold as children, that there's only one path for you, which is that you go to college, you get a degree, and you go into a white-collar field. It's just not realistic anymore. Number one, a lot of these young adults are having a very difficult time actually finding jobs in the white-collar workforce. And also, the purpose of education has changed so dramatically over the past several years that even if you believe that college is a good in and of itself, that it's a good thing to be able to go and study something that gives you meaning and purpose, most colleges don't offer that anymore. They're far more interested in indoctrinating students than they are actually in teaching them how to think for themselves. So there's really no deeper meaning to it anymore either. So young adults are looking elsewhere.
You know, and Charlie, it seems to be part of a broader societal shift.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is, and what do you make of that shift?
Well, I think a lot of people are sort of realizing the limitations of things like the stupid iPhone and the AI stuff that everybody's predicting is going to take over all of our jobs, and starting to realize that, okay, these things are tremendously advantageous and they can help us with a lot of things, but you are always going to have electricians. You're always going to have plumbers. You're always going to have to, as we just saw with that speech that President Trump gave at Arlington Cemetery, you're always going to have fighters. You're going to have humans doing things and doing great things. Now, the AI can help them with that. The phone can help them with that. And you can do more with less and maybe more cheaply. But you're still going to need humans to do these things, and it's a great job. You can, if you decide to become a plumber, if you're 20 years old right now, you want to become a plumber, you want to become an electrician, you're going to make a boatload of money and make it very quick. And unlike if you go to college and you get out and you spend all this time making $30,000 a year, you're starting out at like $60,000, $70,000 a year, and there's no limit to what you can make.
Also, can I just say, you called text messages a texter one day. Charlie was telling me his texter was down, and I was like, what is that? He said it was his cell phone. It's the messages.
Because, I mean, does anybody use it as a phone anymore?
Yeah. You text and call.
No, it's the texter.
But that made me laugh. I was like, what is a texter? What's happening?
Major boomer vibes. Sorry, Charlie.
Right here.
I was just thinking it, actually.
Dr. Sapphire, how has AI changed your field?
Well, before I get into that, I do want to comment on the fact that there's no better time to go into trade than right now. Did anybody else see what President Trump posted about trade earlier today? I'm considering taking $3 billion of grant money away from the anti-Semitic Harvard and giving it to trade schools all across our land. I mean, great time. The thing about trade is it also gives people the ability to have small businesses to reach their entrepreneurship goals. And as Charlie's saying, you will always need these trades, and you can make your own money. You can set your own hours, and this could be what's right for you and your family. For me, I do use my advanced degrees in my day job, radiologist, but people keep saying to me, your job's going to be gone because of AI. And the reality is that's not true. You don't actually understand the benefits of AI. AI plus human together is going to be an incredibly powerful thing, especially when it comes to healthcare and a lot of other jobs. But AI is definitely enhancing us, but it is certainly not going to take over us. So while people are kind of afraid of AI and they're going into different things. I say it can only make us better as long as that we put into place some of the regulations, because unfortunately we're a little behind the game when it comes to some of the regulations on AI, but that's something that the Trump administration is working on.
Leslie, what do you think? Do you think AI will only make us better, or how do you think it'll reshape the economy?
I have 2 teenagers. AI terrifies me. I'm a year and a half from being an empty nester. They're looking at applying to colleges. You know, it's interesting because there are more people going into trade, but there are more people applying to colleges than ever before in our lifetime. So they're going to college, and I think what happens is, 1, we don't have economic security. 2, we have tariffs. 3, we have companies not hiring as many people in the white-collar field. So they look to the trade, and it's so lovely to hear all of you be so pro, trade and blue-collar work, because those are strong union jobs in America. And I, as a Democrat, really support that, and I support the unions.
President Trump.
So when we look at no, I wouldn't say he supports the unions. When we look at what is happening in our country, to answer your question with AI, there are things that terrify me. For example, like a War of the Worlds scenario, but on the phone. All of a sudden, you have a computer-generated robot telling you something that isn't true. That can be frightening. But I do agree with Nicole. It's not going to replace doctors.
Then why did he do so well with working voters?
I'm a Democrat who's not going to sit here and go over and over. I said it was the messaging of the Republican Party did a great job at a few things. 1, unity. Charlie's smiling. He loves hearing this part. 1, the unity. 2, they really focused on issues that mattered to the American people, and that was the economy, immigration, and crime. And my party didn't do that. And that's why you have to remember, not all union workers are Democrats, nor are they all Republicans. As a matter of fact, in many unions, they were very evenly split as to who voted for Trump versus Kamala, or sometimes one, had more, for Kamala, and the other, had more for the president.
Right.
So there's this idea that, all unions are just Democrats and, running them and working for them, and that's just not true.
The teachers' unions certainly seemed to be during COVID. I mean, they were detrimental to the children, the influence that the teachers' unions had when it came to writing CDC policy for our kids.
Well, of course,
I don't think we're talking about teachers when we're talking about unions.
Charlie,
we're talking about like Teamsters and United Steelworkers and auto workers.
It's always the powerful leadership of the unions that are Democrats. It's the actual workers who are the members of the unions who got stolen by Donald Trump because of his policies. And it wasn't just messaging. They're smart enough to recognize the difference between BS and messaging. They just realized that he was talking about the issues that they cared about.
The good news is you guys can continue this conversation during the commercial break.
Oh, yeah.
But we've got to go because they're yelling at me in the air. Don't get me in trouble.